Take a look at this. You'll see. Just take a look. You're not even going to believe it.
Gums, nerves of steel, that man.
Why?
Dealing with more pressure now than a submarine.
Indeed.
Home crowd showing some appreciation.
And don't you
Johnson
forget
places the ball on the spot, getting ready. That man literally has a cannon for a leg.
Yes, he does.
Here he goes, winding up for the shot, and oh! The cannon has fired and hit Sterling directly to the face.
We clocked that at a stunning 116 kilometers per hour.
Now that's a lot of miles per hour.
Little chance that man's nose is not broken right now.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and it looks like the deal is set to close in just 4 days. Elon Musk to officially take over control of Twitter on Friday, unless old Papa Joe Biden wants to get involved. That's right. Joe Biden has the power to stop the deal, and many, it would seem in mainstream media, seem very excited by the idea. I wonder why that might be. I just wonder. Why would the establishment media want the establishment to stop Elon Musk from purchasing Twitter? Could it be that Twitter is an extraordinarily valuable political tool, and that they know that, first of all, that it's, in my opinion, slanted towards their quote-unquote team? Maybe they also know that if people see the real opinion of others out there, people see what's really trending in this country, it's not going to be the same old tired crap every single day. And people are going to see that, maybe America isn't all that concerned with fat acceptance and all this other crap that Twitter tries to say is trending that day. Maybe that's why. Seems like the mainstream media is going to need to change their underoos. Fortunately, I have a solution for them, and it's Sheath. Check it out. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor. That's right, Sheath. These boxers are designed to keep your balls off your legs. Sheath has 3 individual compartments to keep everything down there separate and cool and comfortable. And hey, since they've been a long-time sponsor, I've heard from many of you who have tried out Sheath and really love it. They were invented by a U.S. Army soldier who came up with the idea for Sheath during his second tour in Iraq, where it was hot as heck and his boys needed to breathe. And on top of all sorts of awesome designs for Sheath, they've added all sorts of winter items, hoodies, gator necks, and all sorts of base layers. Head on over to the link in the description and pin comment down below. Use my promo code to save and support the channel and keep everything nice, cool, and dry. Now, this article comes from Dan DeFrancisco. Elon Musk Twitter saga could finally be coming to an end this 7 hours ago. Checking in from New York City, and here's hoping you had a great weekend. Today we are covering an investment bake, trimming headcount, blah, blah, blah. But first, it's the end of an era. The end of the line for Elon and Twitter. What a long trip it's been. This might be the best way to sum up Elon Musk's Twitter saga that has played out over the past 6+ months. Today marks 193 days since Musk first offered to buy Twitter. It finally appears the end is in sight, or at least the closing of the transaction. Earlier this month, with the judge ruled that the deal must close by October 28th, which is, then it has to go to trial, by the way, which is this Friday, or a trial will be held. Still, things are far from buttoned up. The main issue remains how Musk will come up with the $44 billion needed to actually buy Twitter. This isn't one of those buy now, pay later situations. Musk already owns $12.5 billion in debt financing, has it lined up from his buddies at the big banks. Oh, his buddies, huh? More on that later. But that leaves $32 billion yet to be accounted for, and while plenty of folks are willing to get in on the action when the economy was humming, there isn't much appetite these days. On Friday, Wedbush analyst Dan Ives highlighted that many have speculated for a while Musk will need to sell anywhere in the range of $5 billion to $10 billion of his Tesla stock to finance the deal. It's pretty simple. The more investors that bail on the deal, the more money Musk needs to contribute, and therefore more Tesla stock. Now, if I were a Musk biopic, this would make for a cool montage scene. They'd play Money by Pink Floyd and Musk taking a bunch of meetings to secure enough cash, but that probably won't happen, or will it? P.S. The government is reportedly considering a national security reveal of the deal because, of course, it is. And this is where Papa Joe, I would not be shocked if like there was more truth to this than we know. The government, in particular the establishment or the Democrats, They know how powerful Twitter is as a tool. They also know how powerful it is for specifically Democrats because of the way that it, in my opinion, unfairly targets right-leaning voices for bans, or at minimum shadow bans and suppression. This is something they've called deboosting. The U.S. government is considering a national security review of Elon Musk's $44 billion Twitter acquisition. If it happens, Joe Biden could ultimately end the deal. The U.S. government is considering national security reviews. Musk plans to purchase Twitter. We all know that. With big help from foreign investors, including Saudi Arabia's Prince, Qatar's Sovereign Wealth Fund, and Binance Holding, which was founded by a Chinese businessman, and have concerned the Biden administration officials, the People told Bloomberg. Really? Interesting that they just had a TikTok star in the White House who plays a caricature of women, who's a biological man, who plays a caricature of women. Why isn't Joe Biden worried about TikTok, which is 100% Chinese owned? I mean, sure, they have their little United States headquarters here, but are you kidding me? Now you care? Now you're worried about who owns our governments, who owns our data? Officials are considering which tools they could use to review Musk's ventures, including action by the Committee of Foreign Investment, which reviews foreign takeovers of American businesses, per Bloomberg. Well, it wouldn't exactly be a foreign takeover, would it? Especially if Elon was like the primary stakeholder, which I'm assuming he would. If the Twitter acquisition was to be reviewed by the CFIUS, C-F-I-U-S, it's an acronym for national security reasons, the agency could recommend to President Biden that he nixes the deal, something Musk himself has tried and failed to do in recent months. In fact, he even commented on it when Nick Lentz wrote, "It would be hysterical if the government stopped Elon Musk from overpaying for Twitter," to which Elon replied with a 100% laughing, crying emoji. Presidents have ended deals in the past on the recommendation of CFIUS. In 2019, former President Donald Trump blocked Beijing Xinji information technology companies' attempt to acquire hotel management platforms. Stay in touch after a recommendation from CFIUS. After initially offering to buy Twitter back in April, Musk tried to back out of the deal. Of course, blah, 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 blah. A Twitter user replied to the post about the Bloomberg article saying it would be hysterical if the government had stopped Elon. Musk replied with 100% consistent with law and practice. CFIUS does not publicly comment on transactions that may or may not be reviewing, a government spokesperson told Insider. Bloomberg reported that people acknowledged the discussion around the security reviews as saying the talks were in early stages. SpaceX's Starlink internet network could also be subject to national security review, the same people reportedly said. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you really know, if you know what Starlink's about, again, I'm a user of Starlink, you know what it could provide in terms of freedoms, in terms of alternate platforms. You know, when you have Starlink, you have potential for internet freedom. You have potential for, I mean, down the road, Tesla needs to have a phone so that it can distribute apps and it can break up the functional monopoly, but oligopoly, I suppose, it would still be an oligopoly if Tesla was in the world. But you know, where Google Play and Apple iTunes control what 99% of the population has access to. By adding a third option, Tesla, you could really shake things up. Now, Bloomberg does say, as of this morning, Musk's tweets irk Biden, but offer scant room for security review. Review by CFIUS would likely bring on legal challenges and administration weighing national security risks of his tweets. I mean, I don't think that we're going to see, you know, much of a pushback here from the government, although, I mean, simply because it would be kind of on the nose. Like, it would be kind of on the nose. You see Musk's tweet, alarm over Elon Musk's recent, quote, Russia-friendly tweets is driving the Biden administration officials to explore using a secretive review panel to assess the national security reviews risks of his business interests. Isn't that funny? They suddenly are worried about foreign interference, but he has a literal son who he doesn't ever mention publicly. I mean, I think that's pretty curious, who had big salaries and lots of connections with China and worked in Ukraine on their power industry. Well, that's for a different video on a different platform, I imagine. Experts say that deploying the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States to investigate Musk's dealing, including his pending $44 billion purchase of Twitter, is unlikely to work and would face legal challenges. There may be an argument for some sort of review, but it's thin, according to Emily Kilcrease, a senior fellow at the Center of New American Security. The panel would only get involved if foreign investors were taking a controlling stake in the new company. She said something Musk doesn't even appear ready to allow. U.S. officials have grown uncomfortable over Musk's recent threat to stop supplying Starlink satellite to Ukraine, and what they see is his increasingly Russia-friendly stance. By the way, he can have whatever stance he wants, and if you know what, if you want to secure internet for Ukraine, then pay for it. Right? I'm a Starlink customer. My bandwidth is getting gobbled up by non-paying customers in foreign countries. Okay? Starlink already doesn't provide the bandwidth that they promised for the $500 a month their business plan is. So if they have 100,000 extra people who aren't paying for the platform, leeching bandwidth, guess what? I'm a paying customer, and I don't accept that. I don't care what it's for. All right? If the U.S. government wants to take my tax money and pay for it, well, I really can't do much about that. But I can be pissed that they're not paying for it. All right? So, I mean, you know, you see Twitter stock down, Tesla stock's down. People aren't really sure how much stock he's going to sell. We know that essentially Friday is D-Day for this deal. I suspect it will close sooner than that. But, you know, he's not exactly writing a check for $50. So moving around this amount of money could be interesting. And it's going to be really interesting if Joe Biden tries to get involved, because that'll be awfully telling to those of us that know exactly why they would be very concerned about Twitter being less censorious. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it and you click that red subscribe button down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.